you for taking this call, me brother. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate you for that. And basically I want to open up basically the fan base that, or the listeners, I should say, that follow my website to a new type of plant-based individual. You know, so
Right.
um, first off, I know you're from the East Coast, New Jersey.
Yes, yes.
What part of New Jersey are you from?
North New Jersey.
Newark?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. All right. So, so I ask everybody the same question all the time, so the answers always change as well. But I want you to share with people that's listening to this and myself, what made you decide to live a plant-based lifestyle?
Um, Information. I'm a person who can't have information and not act on it. I started actually uh, cutting out added sugar a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Actually about 4 years ago. But then I just started reading, and when I had children, I kind of reevaluated, how long I need to be in a certain state, certain status of health. So with that being said, you're looking at another, you know, basically resetting the clock on another 20 plus years that I deemed that I needed to be healthy for my children. I started reading, and I kind of discovered that it seems that people who live a plant-based life have a healthier, more enjoyable time. And so that's kind of what led me down that path.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You acted on the information. So the follow-up question I have for that is, now that you're living a plant-based lifestyle and the information that helps you pretty much, turn your health around, what would you say about, black individuals, what I'm saying, that decide that, oh, I want to live a plant-based lifestyle because of the animals and the environment and all of that type of stuff. What do you got to say about people that say stuff like that?
Um, to each his own. I think that that wasn't my reason. I kind of accept, our place at the top of the food chain, if you will. Um, and so I believe that if you need to eat it, eat flesh to survive, then I don't think that there's anything inhumane about that.
Okay.
So yeah, like I didn't stop eating meat because I want to save the cows.
Okay.
It was because I wanted to say it was because of myself. So, um, yeah, I don't really have, cause yeah, I don't eat meat, but I would definitely buy meat too.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, and granted, like I don't believe in. I probably wouldn't buy meat. I was, I was being funny, but
Uh-huh.
definitely, this thing didn't come about because of animal rights.
Okay. Yeah, and I can respect that, because a lot of times people they wonder like, okay, do you not wear leather? Do you not do this? I say I do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me,
Right.
I'm personally not into mink coats myself, but I got leather shoes, I got a leather belt, and just to segue into the next topic because what a lot of people may not know, I know of course because I follow you on Instagram is you have the Arm Black movement.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, indeed. You know what I'm saying? So with the arm black movement, it's crazy, Al. I actually took my daughter to the doctor, and they had this little part where the doctor asks you, "Do you have guns in the house?" And the doctor,
Right.
yeah,
I've answered that question. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's crazy because I never answer it, because it's none of their business. Way I feel, that's my Second Amendment right. But
Right.
anyways, it's funny because before the doctor even asked me the question, she says out of her mouth, "Well, you're vegan, so I shouldn't even ask you that question." I just bust out laughing. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
funny,
Because
right?
like they equate the way I eat with self-defense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So segueing into that, like, do you ever like have those people that's a part of the Armed Black Movement say stuff like, "Oh, you don't go hunting, you don't do X, Y, Z," since because does anybody that as a part of that movement know you're plant based?
Yeah, I posted something probably about a month or so ago. There's a vegan restaurant that opened back up at home,
Okay.
and I discovered it a couple months ago, and I was excited because the more when I go back home to visit, eating is always an issue.
Right.
I usually have to pack me a bag for the day. And I found this restaurant, not only that are they vegan, because I've also understand that a lot of people eat vegan but don't eat healthy. Like this restaurant is alkaline based.
Oh yeah.
So I was really excited when I found out about them, and I posted. I said, gave a shout out to the restaurant. Said, most people don't know that I'm not your typical bacon eating gun owner.
Right.
And that was part of the post, and I got a pretty interesting response. I had a lot of people reach out to me like, "Oh wow, that's great! I'm vegan too. I didn't know you were." And it was almost like I came out the closet about being a vegan, and a whole bunch of other my followers as well. So it's interesting because in this quote unquote gun community, you got a lot of uh, a lot of it is driven by ignorant male testosterone. So a
Yeah.
lot of people will try to make you think that you're not a man because you don't eat a burger and a steak. Like, okay, you're doing all this preparation for war, and your heart ain't gonna last the intensity of whatever situation you find yourself in because your arteries are clogged. So
Mm.
to each his own.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah, definitely was received well when I put it out there. Because yes, it is a typical stereotype that people assume gun owners to have. I got to eat a slab of bacon every day, or I'm not a real man type of thing. It's just stupid, actually, if you think about it. But
yeah.
no, nobody's giving me a hard time for it. That's been very appreciative because, like I said, there's a lot of other people that have dialogue around it now.
Right. And that's deep right there because like just to kind of stay on that topic of the quote unquote gun community, it's crazy because if you look at most people that's prepping, and it's crazy because a lot of these are white people I see, but you see some of the most unhealthy people, talking
Exactly.
about going to war and they insane and heavy and you're like, how you about to go to war and you barely can walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's
it's
what I
like,
tell people. That's what I tell people because I've spoken to people who survived Hurricane Katrina and they had to walk like 10 to 15 miles to safety.
wow.
I tell people, like, can you walk 10 miles without collapsing? Like, so yeah, you're absolutely right. You have a lot of preference to unhealthy.
You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's one of the advantages of the lifestyle. So, with Plant Fuel Fit Life, my intention last year was to basically segue from the whole PETA, what I'm saying, type thing that was going on that's controlled by the dominant society, but to bring a new face for like melanated people across the world. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look online, you don't really see too much stuff for black people with a plant-based thing. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you this question because since I came in with my movement basically like about empowerment of black vegans across the world and I see yours with the armed black movement, do you ever deal with any flack from people that say stuff like, why does it have to be black movement? Why isn't it everybody? Why isn't it this? Why isn't it
Um,
that?
yeah, I get at least one of those a week. Um, and if I think it's usually most interesting when I have a person of color make that comment.
Oh, wow.
When if a white person makes that comment, 9 times out of 10 I won't even respond. And a
Right.
lot of times, depending on how they put it, I'll block them. And but like I said, I do entertain some people when they ask that question because some people honestly are ignorant of what it is that they're actually asking. I tell people, I say, look, at the end of the day, just because I go grocery shopping doesn't mean I don't want your family to have food in the house. It just means that I'm concerned about my family eating.
Right.
That's like the best analogy I can give. And then, a lot of them are, well, nobody is ever about press. Nobody speaks, on this issue when we're clearly being oppressed. So, yeah, it's a question that I rarely entertain. Because if you're asking that question in 2012, you're either stupid or ignorant. I don't have time for either.
Right. And it's crazy that you said that when black people ask you that question because one thing I've been running into recently is, from the angle I'm coming from, I don't really have people asking question of why are you promoting just black people on your website, but I have people asking the question of how much is it gonna cost me? Like what's the string attached to it? And I'm noticing like, a lot of people not really a lot of black people not used to being, empowered. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like when you
Right.
when you come at them with an empowerment opportunity, that's free. That's just, I mean, because
Right,
this a labor of love, and I know you probably know this yourself. Like when you going around
right,
teaching you about gun rights and stuff, that's a labor of love. I mean, I'm pretty sure that for certain things you may charge for training and stuff like that,
right,
information, but at the end of the day, you putting your time into this, you putting time away from your family, so it's like this a
right,
labor of love. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
yeah, I know you pretty much see this firsthand. Like, okay, if I'm going through the process of trying to educate y'all, but y'all still looking at me like I'm a bad guy and I'm a crook or something, or I'm on some malicious stuff. It's like, man, what am I even doing this
right,
for? You know what I'm saying?
right,
Yeah. So
right.
like, what
Um,
makes you stay in the fight with that?
well, just because I understand the success of the oppressive system that has been put in place. That's what that is.
Okay.
That's success of the oppressive system. So I understand it is a very successful system, which is why we're in a position we're in. So, like I said, approach the right way, and if it's coming from a pure perspective of asking based on ignorance and just not knowing, then yeah, I'll kind of give them a dignified with a response. But it's conditioned. Like we are conditioned to think that way, and that's why you do have people respond like that because they've been taught that subconsciously that that's how they're supposed to look at things. Yes, we're not used to being in power because whether you're talking about guns or money, there's usually a small sacrifice involved for change, but a lot of people aren't willing to make that change. Not because it's expensive, but because it's just something that is not the norm for them.
That's real right there. That's real. And I think it's that cognitive dissonance that they talk about. Like as soon as the brain gets something that's not familiar with, it immediately goes into defense mode. Like, okay, no,
Right,
I don't want to learn that. I don't want to know that. Don't talk about that to
right.
me. Get away from me. That type of stuff. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But that's real. Like I really do admire what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I see that you go to different states and do your thing, right?
yeah. It's although most of what I do is local.
Okay.
Like I did Oakland a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to establish an infrastructure so I can go to other states that are not local
Okay.
on a regular basis, which requires funding. Then I do like the whole GoFundMe thing, but I feel like I might have to because the info sessions that I do, I try to make them free with a small donation request of like $5 to $10. And that's fine if I'm doing something locally because I live in Delaware now. So for me to drive to New York, have 10 to 20 people come, that'll cover my traffic expenses.
Right.
But when you talk about, people want me to come to Texas and Florida and California, that's a whole another set of expenses, and that is where I need to put in a system to allow me funding. So,
Yeah. And I think that's definitely possible because I don't know if you're familiar with Maj Toure and the Black Guns Matter thing. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
that's pretty much what
Yeah,
they're doing.
I did a couple of events with him actually in the past. The last one was Atlanta. We did Atlanta in, I want to say like September, last September.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I haven't worked with him in months, and there's a couple reasons. Most importantly, I'm not quite certain of what his message is anymore.
Okay.
I do appreciate what he's doing overall, but our messages don't align, so I just kind of stick to my own thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the approach of putting us in a better situation, being like bridging the color gap. So I feel
Yeah.
like at some point in time, this movement went from the hood, informing the hood, to Tommy Lawrence is trying to bridge a color gap. So
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy that you say that though, Al, because I actually spoke with him about that. Because when he first posted that picture with her, I said something to him. He actually called me. And I actually spoke with him on the phone and everything because I was like, it's confusing because your core audience don't know which way you coming from. Because one minute
right,
you saying the hood, next minute you with her, and you posting
right,
some little weird message talking about white supremacy, and it's like
right.
it just
And I
confuses.
spoke to him. I spoke to him too because I thought it was a great interview in terms of how he handled himself.
Right,
But then when I thought about it, and actually I just thought about it, somebody asked me about it, and it was somebody from where I grew up from, and didn't know who she was first of all,
right.
and it just kind of made me think like, that's interesting that you didn't even know who this chick is. But I guess I thought about what was he hoping to gain speaking with her. And for you to, like I said, to be trying to bridge the color gap is not really the approach for helping the hood, because like I said, you're talking about a certain demographic of people who have been systematically excluded. So to
Hmm.
have a conversation with somebody who is not sensitive to that, I wouldn't even go so far as to call her a racist. I think she's ignorant on a lot of things, and she has no reason to be sympathetic for a situation. And therefore, speaking with someone like her, how could that possibly benefit, quote unquote, the hood?
Right. Yeah, and that's pretty much the reason why with what I'm doing, I strictly keep it the way it is. I mean, because it's crazy. I've actually, I reach out to people myself directly now. You know what I'm saying? But it's growing. I'm getting a lot of people that's sharing different people with me, and a lot of times, like, white people will come on my Instagram. Oh, could you feature my friend? Could you do this? And it's like I politely let them know, like, the intention of this website is specifically about melanated people of African descent. And you got people that respect that, and you got some people that don't. But at the end of the day, this is something that I want to keep sole control of, because so many times I see like a lot of black ran things. They want to bridge that color gap. They want to let in just that one cool white person, and that's they
Right,
sabotage it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, everybody else got their own stuff but us. And I think that
right,
you have to be determined with that will of survival to keep it that way. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, I look at your posts, like you post a lot of, prominent people in the gun community doing their thing, like teaching women, they teach children, you know what I'm
right.
saying? It's like, I honor that right there. And it's like,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
yeah, much love, much love. But people, I see in the comments before on your Instagram, people saying stuff like, "Why you ain't doing this? Why you ain't doing?" That's like almost when we not talking about educating each other. If we just doing some crazy fight shit and like that, y'all don't care. But the minute we start educating each other, y'all ask why we can't include everybody else. And it's like,
Right,
we got to just give y'all the straight stiff arm. You know what I'm saying?
right.
At this point in the
Yeah. So
game,
I get people who, like, and I get white people on my page all the time and say, hey, can we be a part of the movement? Now I reply, absolutely.
uh huh,
Take your black neighbor to the range and introduce them to the Second Amendment. Absolutely. You can be involved. Now, will I have you at an event of mine speaking or something like that? I have had instructors um, speak at my events that weren't of African descent. And it was because they were the best qualified that I had access to. I did a class in New Jersey a couple months ago where it was a multi-state concealed carry license class. And I'm not qualified to teach that class, and I don't know anybody qualified to teach that class. So the person who I took the class with, who is, she's a female, and her thing is she does a lot with domestic violence. She's a domestic violence survivor. And then she also supports my movement before I ask her to do anything. So yes, I brought her out to have her teach that class because I had people back at home in New Jersey who wanted to get this permit, and I wasn't gonna miss the opportunity for them to get their multi-state license because I couldn't find anybody of color to do it.
right,
So
yeah,
I kind of have a by any means necessary approach. Like she is the only person I had access to, so absolutely I employ her services because I wanted my people to get that information.
right, man. And
So
that
it
and
depends,
that's intelligent right there, doing it that way.
right,
Yeah, that's the smart way, because I actually honor that too, because it's a lot of things that I'm not abreast to as far as what I'm doing currently. But like a lot of times I reach out to wellness people that are are different races and everything, and get the information, because the way I look at it as, we have to use them the way they use us. You know what I'm saying? There's
right,
nothing malicious behind it. It just is what it is at this point. Whenever
right.
they looking for like the hottest new trend of what's popping in the hood, they'll get somebody
Mm-hmm.
black real quick, get them, and then they'll monetize that information from that person. So we got to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We just
Right,
can't be willing to give up our ownership. And that's real
right,
smart that you getting the information passed along, because actually, brother, I was interested in taking a couple, because I'm out here in Chicago. I was interested in taking a couple of the NRA based classes at a couple of these gun stores that offer them, so that I can get that information back to people in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I pay my
right,
money, pay that fee, and then turn it into a business opportunity for myself. You know what I'm saying? Because
right,
like that's what we got to do. Because like we don't have this information firsthand like they do, so we got to get it and then give it to the people that we want to have it, because they're not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? They're not
Right.
gonna do it willingly. At least they may get that one spook by the door and get them the information, but they're not giving a bunch of dreadhead hood dudes the information because they feel like you a threat
Right.
anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
And why you bring that up? There's a brother in Illinois. I don't know which part of Illinois he's in, but the name is, I think is it Rick? Rick Rick something? Illinois Civilian Defense.
okay, I'm in Chicago
Check him out.
myself. If he close to Chicago, that's cool.
I think it is. I think it is.
You know what I'm saying? But like just kind of like wrapping things up because everything flowing real smooth. Like so basically with you being a plant-based gun owner, even though like it's weird that we got to describe it as that, but with you being a plant-based gun owner, what's the message that you want to convey to people that basically may fit that whole machismo at all? You know what I'm saying? You got to have a pork chop with a big old thing of ribs and everything because if we go into the range afterwards, we got to get a bunch of beers and rib tips. Like what's your message to them? Because I know you come across those a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. My message is, let me see. My message is that you preparing yourself for self-defense of physically of your body, but you're not preparing yourself for self-defense internally. It's counterproductive. So you have a firearm to protect somebody from doing something to your flesh, but you're not doing anything to protect your inner work. And so to me, I would challenge somebody to explain that. Tell me why that makes sense. When you can clearly see that people who have a plant-based diet live a healthier, happier life. You're trying to preserve your life. So how does that work? Challenge somebody to intellectually speak to that.
Mm. Yeah, that's deep right there. You can't really
I'm
protect.
trying to I'm trying to preserve myself on the inside and the outside.
True story. You know what I'm saying? You can't fight the fight of self defense if you having a heart attack or a stroke somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, much
Right.
love for sure. So basically like, do you have any events coming up soon?
Have a couple of dates I'm trying to iron out, so I don't have a solid date on anything. I have to follow up with the class in Brooklyn because when I do the info sessions, that generates an interest for actual training class. So I'm trying to put together a class to take to Brooklyn, which is probably going to be like the basic pistol class.
Okay.
Um, and then I'll do something in Delaware. And I talked to a brother in North Carolina this week, and I'll put something out there. So I don't have anything on the calendar yet. I got a couple of things in the pipe, coming down the pipe. Um, yeah, so stay tuned.
All right, cool. Well, when you do get the information, make sure you swing it on us because surprisingly, we got a lot of gun owners that follow the website. You know what I'm saying? I actually featured a brother, we both follow him. His name is General O, you know what I'm saying, from Atlanta. He does this thing down there. A couple of other people, like it's a lot of, and I'm sorry, surprising when you posted that picture in that restaurant, a lot of people start coming at me too, like, wow, you vegan too? Like, yeah, we out
Yeah,
here. You know what I'm saying? We out here, we protecting ourselves and we ready. Real talk.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
so brother, like real talk, I really do appreciate